I have spent many years quietly observing how people handle money, not from headlines, not from theories, but from real lives, real decisions, and real consequences that unfold slowly over time. One thing becomes clear when you watch long enough. Most people do not lose financial stability because of one big mistake. They lose it through small, repeated choices that feel normal at the time. These choices rarely feel reckless. They feel earned. They feel responsible. Sometimes they even feel smart, and that is what makes them dangerous, because when something feels normal, we stop questioning it. Money does not usually disappear all at once. It leaves quietly, month after month, year after year, and by the time people notice the pressure, they are already tired. Tired of working, tired of worrying, tired of asking why progress feels so fragile despite decades of effort. This video is not about blame. It is about recognition, because once you see a pattern clearly, it becomes much easier to change the next decision. Before we go further, a gentle reminder: this video is for educational purposes only. It is not personal financial advice. If this kind of calm, realistic discussion feels useful at your stage of life, you may want to subscribe. Principles of wealth exists for people who value clarity over noise. Now let's talk about the first habit. It is one of the most socially accepted spending patterns in modern life. Buying brand new cars. Almost everyone believes a new car is a reasonable purchase, a reward for working hard, a symbol of progress, a sign that life is moving forward. And on the surface, that makes sense. People need transportation. They need reliability. They need safety. The issue is not owning a car. The issue is how often people replace them and how much of their future they trade away in the process. A brand new car begins losing value immediately, not gradually, immediately. This loss continues every single year. Even if the car is well maintained, even if it is rarely driven, many households repeat this cycle every 5 or 6 years. A new loan, a new payment, a new reset of depreciation. What often goes unnoticed is not just the money spent, it is the money that never gets the chance to grow. When people reach their 40s and 50s, they often feel a quiet frustration. They did what they were supposed to do. They worked consistently. They earned steadily, and yet financial security still feels distant. Car payments are rarely blamed because they feel ordinary. But over decades, they quietly consume flexibility. Those who build long-term stability tend to treat cars differently. They see them as tools, nothing more, reliable, functional, predictable. They keep vehicles longer. They replace them only when necessary. They avoid turning transportation into a recurring financial reset. This approach does not feel exciting, but it creates something far more valuable than excitement. It creates margin. And margin is what allows wealth to grow quietly in the background. Now let's move to the second habit. This one is deeply emotional, and for many people, difficult to talk about honestly. Buying more house than your income comfortably supports. Home ownership carries meaning, security, stability, pride. There is nothing wrong with wanting a comfortable place to live. The issue begins when affordability is defined by approval limits instead of long-term balance. Banks approve loans based on formulas, not on peace of mind, not on future uncertainty, not on how life actually unfolds over 30 years. When housing costs consume too much income, something subtle happens. The ability to invest consistently begins to fade. The ability to handle surprises weakens. The feeling of progress slows. Many people become house rich and cash constrained without realizing it. On paper, everything looks fine, but emotionally, pressure builds. Later in life, people often say the same thing quietly: "We should feel more secure than this by now." Those who achieve financial calm usually make different housing choices, not because they earn less, but because they leave room for saving, room for investing, room for life changes that no spreadsheet can predict. A home should support your future, not silently compete with it. If this reflection feels close to home, pause for a moment. Awareness is not judgment, it is simply clarity. If this conversation is helping you think more clearly, a quiet like supports the channel and helps others find it. Now, let's talk about the third habit. This one rarely feels like a financial decision at all. Constant spending on furniture and home upgrades. Furniture feels permanent, solid, necessary. But in many households, it becomes a recurring expense disguised as comfort. Entire rooms furnished at once. Style changes every few years. Financing used for items that quietly lose value. Most furniture serves a simple function. You sit, you sleep, you eat. Those who build wealth over time tend to separate comfort from appearance. They buy slowly, they replace intentionally, they avoid turning their homes into display spaces. The savings from this approach rarely feel dramatic in the moment, but over decades they compound into meaningful stability. Money not spent does not disappear, it waits, and it grows. This brings us to something important. None of these habits feel reckless on their own. They feel normal, they feel justified. And that is why they quietly shape outcomes. Financial security is not built through speed. It is built through calm, consistent decisions repeated over time. In the next part, we will talk about two habits that are especially common today: technology upgrades and lifestyle experiences that borrow too much from the future. These are the areas where awareness can make the biggest difference in the second half of life. As we continue, it is important to notice something. None of the habits we are discussing come from bad intentions. They come from comfort, from habit, from quietly following what feels normal at a certain stage of life. That is why they are so powerful. Now let's talk about the fourth habit. This one has become especially common in the last 2 decades. Constant upgrading of technology. Phones, laptops, tablets, smart devices, subscriptions layered on top of subscriptions. Most people do not see this as a financial issue. They see it as staying current, staying productive, staying connected. And to be fair, technology can be useful. The problem is not technology itself. The problem is frequency. Devices are often replaced not because they stopped working, but because something newer appeared: a slightly better camera, a slightly faster processor, a new feature that promises convenience. Over time, this creates a cycle: buy, upgrade, replace. The cost does not feel heavy because it is spread out. Monthly payments, annual upgrades, small subscriptions that feel insignificant on their own. But over decades, these small amounts quietly consume capital. People in their 40s and 50s often say something like this: "I don't spend recklessly, but I don't feel ahead either." Technology upgrades are often part of that answer. Those who build steady wealth tend to treat technology the same way they treat tools: useful, functional. Replace only when necessary. They extend the life of devices. They buy previous models. They resist upgrading for appearance. This approach does not feel exciting, but it protects something very important: consistency. And consistency is what allows investments to work quietly in the background. Technology should support your life, not pressure your finances. Now let's talk about the fifth habit. This one is emotionally charged and often defended with strong language. Luxury experiences that stretch long-term stability, travel, premium upgrades, short moments designed to feel special. Experiences matter. No one is arguing against joy or memory, but there is a difference between enjoyment and overextension. Many people borrow comfort from their future to fund the present, often without realizing it. They say things like, "You only live once," "I deserve this," "I'll deal with the money later," and later always arrives faster than expected. This is where many people underestimate themselves. They believe change requires dramatic action, a perfect plan, a sudden transformation. It does not. It begins with noticing. Noticing how often spending is emotional. Noticing how often normal habits go unquestioned. Noticing how often comfort today trades away comfort later. From there, change becomes incremental. One less upgrade. One longer car cycle. One modest decision repeated many times. Over years, those small choices compound into something powerful. Not just wealth, but calm. Calm is the true dividend of financial discipline. It allows clearer thinking, better health decisions, stronger relationships. Money does not create peace by itself, but financial pressure quietly destroys it. This channel exists to help people reduce that pressure before it becomes regret. If you have stayed this far, it means something here resonates with your life. You do not need to act perfectly. You do not need to act immediately, but you can act thoughtfully. Look at the 5 habits we discussed: transportation choices, housing decisions, home spending patterns, technology upgrades, lifestyle experiences. You do not need to eliminate joy. You only need to remove unconscious spending. Awareness is the first investment, and it costs nothing. As always, remember this video is for educational purposes only. It is meant to encourage reflection, not provide personal financial advice. If you value calm, long-term thinking like this, subscribing supports the channel and helps others find these conversations. Principles of Wealth believe something simple. Financial security is not built through speed. It is built through clarity, planning, and calm decisions made consistently over time. The second half of life is not about proving anything. It is about protecting what matters. You still have time, you still have choices, and you still have more control than you may realize. Thank you for spending this time here. Your future self will be glad you did.